Hey guys, Crystal Thompson here for Simon Says Stamp. Today I have a one stencil, 3 ways for making 3 fabulous cards using the January 2022 Simon Says Stamp, and I hope you love these 3 inspirations. We're going to begin with a clean and simple stenciled card utilizing the contents of the kit only and some very basic supplies along with Copics, and I think you're going to love how easy this turned out. So as you know, any beginner to expert card maker, we totally know the newest and latest tricks, and this one isn't new. We're going to be using the Distress Oxides, and I have attached my stencil and used 3 different colors to create this beautiful coloring, and then I splattered water over the whole thing, and we're going to set that aside. Since we already had that ready to go, I'm going to use one of the pieces of cardstock included in the kit, and this is gorgeous like doll pink cardstock, and that's exactly what it's called, and it's a 100 pounds, so you know it's going to be nice and thick. We're going to use the Warmest Wishes sentiment, and we're going to stamp this over that doll pink cardstock, and that little white powder is embossing buddy or cornstarch, whichever you prefer, and I like to place it when I'm embossing, and I'm holding this down to allow my cardstock to kind of absorb this ink, and it's going to make it very easy when we go ahead and do heat embossing. For my powder, I'm of course using the Simon Says Stamp white detail powder. I really love how pretty and clean it comes out. And then once I've heat set it, I'm going to go on and bring in my paper trimmer to trim that ribbon of the sentiment. And that little white powder, we can remove it by just wiping it on your shirt or just utilizing your fingers to take that off, and it really comes off very easily. I'm going to set that aside. I have my cardstock ready to go, and this is the stencil that we use, and the stencil is included in the kit, and it's called Scattered Snowflakes, also available independently on the Simon Says website. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to mark 2 areas, and I'm going to do some abstract cutting using my paper trimmer, and by doing so I'm able to create 2 cards out of 1 piece of stencil, and this is going to be placed over some white a card base, depending on if you're making a card base or a card panel. I like to make card panels. They're easier to store, and then when I need to make a card, I just kind of pop it over a card base and we're ready to go. And so back to the card making part of this, I have a 5.5, 4 1/4 card panel, white, 110 pound cardstock included in the kit. Beautiful, great for card bases or cardstock. And I have measured that out because the stenciling was already 5.5, 4 1/4. If I'm sure to leave the thickness of the cardstock, then I can really just adjust the height of it and the shape. So I have some foam adhesive here, and this is one-sided sheets of foam adhesive. One side has adhesive and the other one doesn't. And I like to use these instead of the roll, and the reason why is it creates a very nice even layer, especially when we're raising something like this. You have lots of texture. It just makes it nice, and I don't know why I'm flipping this over and over, but I think I was trying to cut it to size and I totally missed it. And then I later on figured out that I had left my piece of foam over on the side, the one I had actually cut to size. So whatever, nobody's ever going to see it. I have some adhesive on the cardstock, and then I placed the sticky, non-sticky part down, removed the backer, and now we're ready to roll. So as I had mentioned, if you leave either the thickness or the height of the card, then all you have to worry about is the upper bottom parts of the stencil. And I'm going to line up those, and as you can see, it fits perfectly, and it's nice and raised, so you got lots of dimension with this. So we have our ribbon ready to go, and now we're going to go ahead and stamp the gorgeous little snowman from the Warmest Wishes. This is a 6x8 clear stamp set, and using some black Copic friendly ink, I'm stamping in just a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to bring in my Copics. And I love snowmen because you don't have to color their little faces. I always end up messing up people or critters. I end up getting them way too pink or too dark or too light. Never perfect. We're going to bring in BG15, and we're going to begin coloring. This is going to be the base color for the coat and the hat of the little snowman. And I like to create 1 layer or color one layer of this color, and then bringing in darker shades of the same color to really add some dimension. And I love watching the Sandy Alnock tutorials for coloring, because I like how she explains where to color with the light. And so what that means is, so you can see how I added some of that blue on that shirt, on the edges of it, because that's where the shadow of it is. But then in the inner part of that sweater, we have this light, this lighter color, and so you don't have as many layers, and it just makes it look a little more three-dimensional. So just a little tip there when it comes to coloring. See, I did the same thing over with the hat. My shading's over on the top right corner of it. Again, bring in different colors, and these colors were inspired by the same shades that I used on the ink blending of my stencil. And so one of the things I like to do when creating cards first, I like to just kind of sit and blend and color, and then I come over later and add my embellishments from the stamp sets or whatever it is included in the kit, and it makes it really fun to create with just the kit. It's almost a nice little challenge, and I really like it, and I hope you guys do too. Anyways, we're finishing up the coloring of the little snowman. I fast forwarded just a little bit so you could see the process of it, but not real-time coloring. And then I'm going to bring in my scissors and fussy cut. If you go ahead and order your card kit, I would order the matching dies that are available, and I'm going to link the products in the description down below. So I'm going to cut all the way around it, and then we're going to place foam adhesive on everything. So we have our one-sided foam sheet. We're going to place it behind that sending happy thoughts your way. We're going to press it down. And as you can see, my pink, my doll pink cardstock is a little longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to flip this around, and using the straight edge of the card panel, we're going to follow that line to cut a perfect straight little line and flip this over. Next, we're going to use our gorgeous little snowman that is ready to go. We're going to place him or her on the bottom right corner. And for embellishments, we have these amazing Hampton Art Studio G pink self-adhesive gems. And this was probably the hardest part of the whole thing, was being able to stick these gems on the card. Later on, I kind of figured out I could have used a gem picker or some scissors, but for this part of it, you can watch me struggle just a little bit on this aspect. But I didn't want to cut it out. I just thought it was way too funny that I couldn't get it. And that's what I get for acrylic nails. So I'm going to speed that part up. We're going to add more of these little gems, and I'm going to add some on the top and the bottom of the cardstock just to give it little pops of color, some little glitter embellishment. And I really love the way this turned out. Again, very easy, and I still have some pieces left over of the stencil to create another clean and simple card. So you could totally double stamp the little snowman, and they could be the same colors. You just kind of, the card's gonna look different because the shape of your color of the stencil that you cut is gonna look different. So it's a great way to make some matching cards. Okay, for inspiration number 2, we have the amazing paste that's included in this kit. Yes, so this kit has a stamp, a stencil, embossing folder, glitter gel for the stencil, adhesive gems, a ton of cardstock, and envelopes. So for this one, we're going to be using the glitter, oh my goodness, I can't say, the Glitz glitter gel in seafoam. And then I have 2 pieces of cardstock. This is a lighter pink than what's included in the kit, but I feel like most of us have a couple sheets of different stuff. We're going to begin by trimming everything. So our card panel here that I have, that I was mentioning to you earlier, this is the stencil included in the kit, the scattered snowflakes. And I have added the seafoam Glitz glitter gel that's included in the kit using the the scattered snowflake stencil. And I let this dry for a day or two. So I was mentioning earlier, this is a great way to mass produce cards. And I just grab all sorts of cardstock and add my glitter or my gel, and it's really cool. It has a lot of texture, and I just love the color, but I wanted to bring the color a bit toned down, which means that I'm gonna bring in a lighter pink, and that's why you have that soft light pink cardstock that's gonna serve as our card panel. I've added a 1 sheet of foam adhesive, and I kind of missed the cutting there, so I'm just gonna trim the bottom so it doesn't pop out over my light pink. And then we're gonna remove the adhesive backing to this sheet and expose that sticky, and then I like to use my fingers to kind of lift it up, and I'm going to try to place it to the best of my abilities right on the center of this card panel in my case. And it really looks really cool. Like I said, the light pink will tone down the bright pink, but it's just a beautiful color combination, and it has a lot of texture, which is what I absolutely loved about this Seafoam Glitz Glitter Gel. And this is a Simon Says Stamp exclusive, so you can only get it with Simon. So next, we're going to move on to our sentiment. So the sentiment's going to be stamped, heat embossed in white from the Warmest Wishes stamp set. I'm going to bring in the Simon Says Stamp embossing in watermark ink, which is the only one I ever use when I'm doing some heat embossing. It's super juicy. Then I'm going to stamp the sentiment over it, and I like to hold it for just a couple seconds. And it says Snowy Greetings. I'm going to bring in my white embossing powder, and we're going to put it right over, shake the excess, heat set, and then cut into a nice little strip. I did end up adding a bit of foam adhesive on the back, and you'll see what we do with it. So now that that's ready to go, I was telling you I have foam adhesive on the back. I'm going to flip this over, and it has some extra twine. I know this is not included in the kit, but I've been able to find different colors of thread, and this is like sewing thread. And I will link a product very similar to this on the Simon Says store, and I'm going to use the sticky back of the foam adhesive to hold it, and it's just going to give it a little bit of a little shiny, not that it didn't have enough shiny, but I give it a little more texture, right? You have the clean flat surface of the light pink, and then you have the beautiful raised teal sea foam color, and then we have more of this Snowy Greetings. And then for embellishments, we are going to use the Hampton Art Studio G Pink Self-Adhesive Stamps. And I was telling you earlier, I figured out that it was easier to pick these things up with scissors, especially if you have acrylic nails. As myself, I can't get them up. But then I added 2 large ones. So I did 2 large in the upper right, and then 2 larger ones on the bottom left. And then I grabbed the tiny little ones and followed the circular motion of the thread to just really embellish it. And it doesn't give it justice in the video. It's really a beautiful card created with this card kit. And last but not least, inspiration using the stencil is a simple ink blended with some cute little critters, and it's all into green tones. I think you're really gonna love this one. It's very easy. So I went ahead and using my Nina 110-pound cardstock, I placed the stencil. I used a light green, and I actually ended up using Distress Oxide just because I really like that blending medium. It's kind of creamy, and it just makes ink blending really cool, very easy, and very fast. I have a 110-pound cardstock Nina as my card panel, and then I trimmed the edges of my stencil to be 5 1/4 and 4 inches, so that way you have a little bit of edging on the side. Next up, I trimmed another piece of a Nina 110-pound cardstock to match the stencil, which is the shorter piece of the cardstock, which what I mentioned was 5 1/4 and 4 inches. And then I just free-handed some hills, so it would be snow, and stamped one of the sentiments from the Warmest Wishes in this gorgeous green ink. And then I'm gonna add foam adhesive on the back of this, placing that on the corner. You're going to match both corners of the stencil cardstock, and now you have a beautiful area of snow. And so I know there's tons of dies that you could use to create little snowy banks, and I want to really use the contents of the kit, so that is why I freehanded this, and it was very easy. It's almost like creating a cloud. So on a separate video, I have the coloring of these little critters and trees. So we stamped these from the Warmest Wishes, and I used some Copic coloring in tones of green and fussy cut it. But again, if you're going to make a ton of cards, I really suggest getting the matching dies available on the Simon Says store and placing the 2 trees behind the snowbank, and then one of the beautiful little snowmen on top of it, and it's just finishes the whole thing up. To embellish, I'm using some Trinity Stamps, and I think they're little snowballs, or they're foam, and they're absolutely gorgeous, and it's just gonna finish the whole thing to putting together. I love the green on green, even though they're different shades of it. It really coordinates quite nicely. And I'm gonna finish up with this using some mono Tombow adhesive, and using the tip of the adhesive to pick up the little balls. They're really lightweight, so they're not going to add weight, they're just going to add some height to your card, so when you mail it you'll have to pay a little more postage and protect your card a little more. But guys, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today using one stencil 3 ways. We did some ink blending with multiple colors, ink blending with one color, and then using the Seafoam Glitz glitter gel included in the kit. I really wanted to create a card with that because it's so pretty and a really cool way to use gel with stencils, and we have so many more options of different techniques to use with a stencil. So I really hope you go get this kit. I think it's gonna sell out, and if you're watching this, once it sells out and you want it, you can buy the individual pieces of it for depending what card you want to make. And again, so that does it for me. I hope you liked the videos. Let me know your thoughts. It's been a little bit since we created. And if you're looking for more inspiration using the January 2022, I can't believe it, card kit, Warmest Wishes, hop on over to my YouTube channel and select Simon Says Stamp, and you will find all the videos with all the card kits for the past year, and you'll find one more using this card kit. And please don't forget to like the video, comment down below, give it a share, and subscribe on my picture and the next recommended video. I hope you love it. Guys, have an amazing day. See ya.